Amy. So I wanted to do a quick video on what we did yesterday. So yesterday was January 14th. I will not get the date right today to save my life. January 14th, 2023. We decided to go out to Dinosaur World, which is just off I-4 in Plant City. If you've ever driven from Tampa to Orlando on I-4, you've probably passed it. So it's something I always saw as a kid when we'd make trips to Disney World. I always wondered what was inside. Also used it as kind of like a little marker for how far we were from Disney World, because there's a couple different notable landmarks on I-4 as you head to Orlando. But for the purpose of this video, we went to Dinosaur World, and it was kind of simultaneously more than I thought it would be, and also exactly as cheesy as I thought it would be. So they did have a museum. It was very small, but they did have real artifacts, which was pretty cool. Like they had megalodon teeth, they had triceratops bones, they have a foot of a dinosaur that basically resembled a T-Rex foot. It was something else, and I'll put that video, or those images, in this video, so you won't be staring at just me talking to a camera the entire time. But that was by far probably the most impressive part of Dinosaur World, so that was pretty cool. When you first walk in, you walk straight into their gift shop, and that's where you buy your tickets, or where you buy your tickets rather. And once you exit through that, it's kind of a big open courtyard with a playground. So this place was not very expensive to get into, and because of that, there were tons of families, which is great. And it was also a beautiful, very chilly day for Florida. I think the high was 53, which for Florida is cold. So it was pretty neat. There was also a birthday party, so I did not film the courtyard because there were children everywhere, and that just feels weird to film, and no one needs that. From there, the rest of the park is made up of walkways, and so once you leave the courtyard, you do walk through an archway, and I believe it says Dinosaur World, but I'm gonna put up the video I took so you'll be able to see what we're looking at here. And that brings you through a series of some pavement walkways, some kind of boardwalk-esque structures, and it zigzags through a bunch of dinosaur statues. I'm guessing not very accurate dinosaur statues, but you get the general idea of what that dinosaur was. Has some facts about them, where their bones are primarily found, or their remains. There's some creatures in there I didn't know existed, like one that was kind of creepy. It looked like a big alligator, but it was a land animal and not one that primarily resided in the water, so slightly terrifying there. Thankfully those don't exist anymore, because I'm sure they'd be in Florida. Outside of that, there were some kind of interactive things, some areas for mostly for children to go look at. They had a skeleton garden. They were fake skeletons, but it kind of gave you an idea of the size of those dinosaurs, theoretically. They had some like kind of hands-on areas. They had a lot of things geared towards kids, so that was cool. I could definitely see this place being somewhere that you would go for a field trip. So I'm thinking that's probably a fairly common occurrence. And there was also lots of picnic tables. I did read on the website before we went that they didn't sell food there, that they recommended you bring food to picnic, so there's that. It was a beautiful day, so it was really nice to walk around and see everything. I don't think I would go back, personally. It wasn't anything wrong with the place, it was just very, very family friendly, very kid friendly. For an adult without children, it's essentially a place to walk around and look at statues and go home. So I will say I'm very happy that we bought the tickets at Dinosaur World and not online, because if you go on their website, it said you get a discount for buying online, and I believe the tickets were listed as $26.87 a person for an adult. When we went there, we bought the tickets and they were $19.99 a piece, so it was actually cheaper to buy them at Dinosaur World. But there's neither here nor there, just something to keep in mind if you're looking to go to this place. Overall, it was fun. I could definitely see the appeal, especially if you had kids. It's a more affordable thing to do in Florida. Right off I-4, lots of fresh air, some cool dinosaur statues. I will mention I think I forgot to mention this before, in the museum, the very last part of it, have all these like kind of motion activated dinosaur figures, and they all started moving and they all started making strange noises together. So I'll put that footage in now. Oh, here's the dinosaurs.
Very motion sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna wonder if the pterodactyl was gonna do anything. Pretty cool.
Everyone's like jiving together. Cute. Yeah, wasn't that fun? Wasn't that invigorating? It was cool overall. I have to say, most of the time I was walking through here, I just kept thinking of Jurassic Park or just the inaccuracies of a lot of the statues. But it was fun, so you know, something fun to do. Now we can say we've went, and now when we drive, when we drive past going to Orlando, we don't have to wonder what's in there. Is it worth it? Now we know, and now we know what to expect if we decide to ever go back. So it was a good time. It was a beautiful day, and I could see the appeal. I would not go running back. And actually, I'll insert a little clip here of us having this conversation. Should have asked you like this. What do you think?
It's kitschy, but that's what I thought it would be.
Worth $20 a person?
Yeah, I'd say worth $20.
Maybe. One time.
Yeah.
I guess the question is, would you come back?
It'd probably have to be a while.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's fine. It's fun. I could see the appeal for children, or
For kids, yeah.
people with children.
Yeah, for sure.
But at least we have nice ones.
It's definitely not a thrill park, that's for sure.
No, it's more of a, well, they did suggest on the website to picnic. So,
Yeah.
like, we don't have food, bring food to have a picnic outside. That makes sense. And I will say, after we went to Dinosaur World, we did decide to drive out to Orlando because we were already not halfway, but enough, close enough. And after sitting in 38 minutes of traffic, which is never fun, we ended up going to Disney Springs. We ate at Wolfgang Puck's restaurant, which we hadn't before, and that was really nice. I didn't film any of that because, my goodness, it was packed there. But it was a very lovely day. Also, I'm pretty sure that there's hundreds of Disney Springs reviews out there, so, you know, we don't need to add to that, at least not yet. So, just wanted to make a touch on that. We did do other things that day, so we had a little bit of an excursion. Either way, in regards to Dinosaur World, if you have kids, they like playing on jungle gyms essentially, like running around outside, like they looking at big dinosaur statues, give it a try. You might like it. So I know I kind of already touched on the museum, but one thing I did want to bring up was something I found interesting is they had the dates of when some of these artifacts were from. So like when that creature was living, how long ago. And something we kind of talked about as we walked through the museum is that it's so hard to wrap your head around that time frame. So for a lot of the artifacts were 65 million years old, which sounds ridiculous, right? How do you wrap your head around something that's that old? You know, we think of time in a very linear way, and you know, a human lifespan is generally, what, 80 years? Maybe a little longer if you're lucky. Yeah, 80 if you're lucky, right? So to think about millions and millions of years ago, it's almost unfathomable. Fathomable? Hard to wrap your head around. We'll use that phrase. But it was really cool. So that part, I will say, I do think that aspect was worth it, because I even said before we walked in to the museum, I would question if there's actually any kind of real artifacts in there. And it wasn't any kind of shade at Dinosaur World. It's that generally you don't see things like that outside of natural history museums, or at least I haven't. So that was pretty cool, I will say. Kind of reminded me of going to the Pirate Museum in St. Augustine, where I'm assuming a lot of those artifacts are probably on loan from a collector or something along those lines. But either way, it was really cool, especially if this place is used for like educational purposes. It's a cool thing to see, have little kids see real history, real artifacts, real dinosaurs, especially if they are into things like Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, I guess now. But either way, I thought it was pretty cool. And I don't know, I think that was at least partially worth the trip in itself. So, worth a note. Also, side note, I'm trying to get used to filming myself speak, and I'm realizing that I'm holding my breath because I'm anxious, which is ridiculous. But I'm sure at least some people can, I don't know, sympathize, or I'm blanking on the word because I'm anxious. Relate, there we go. You can relate. You hold your breath, you start to feel a little dizzy or lightheaded or out of breath because you're not breathing. Imagine that. All right, we're good.